Oh. Zombie monster dinosaur. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Look at this steamed. Oh, I love it. This is like a lobster cooking a human. This guy is awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Actually, one of the highlights of the pop-up is a History of Monsters mural, which goes all the way around the outside of the show if you want to check it out.
I do want to check it out. I'm going to wait till Pete gets here and he can show me and we'll probably explain it because I saw it and like it looked awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on there.
It's very cool.
Oh wow, look at this wrestling. Like monster aliens wrestling. He's biting his face off. Corpse jockeys.
Hey there.
Hey, so look who's here!
Hey! How you doing? Oh yeah, big hug, big hug. Guys, he's here, the artist.
This is Pete.
Yeah.
Hi, good to see
Wow.
you. This is Pete Von Sholly.
Pete Von Sholly. Wow.
Hi there.
Hi.
Artiste.
First of all, thank you for coming.
Pleasure.
Your work is outstanding. As I'm here at Gallery 800, I walked around, lots of great stuff. Then I come upon this kind of pop-up stuff, and I am a huge monster, sci-fi, action fan.
Me too.
And yeah, I can see that. You actually, let me see the hand that drew all this stuff. There it is.
There it is.
Wow. That's
Not too close.
that thing is awesome. Well, talk me through. Show me. You were talking about the monsters, or why don't you tell everyone? I'm so excited. Why don't you tell everyone what you do and
I
what's
will.
your story?
I'll be happy to. Take it easy, Mom. This is my mom. She can't. She doesn't. She got a sore throat. She came a long way to be here. She's proud of me. She's
Well,
my
hello,
mom.
Miss Von Sholly. How nice to meet you. Yes,
Yeah.
I like your
I have a
brooch.
lot to say. Which is,
I like her brooch.
Yeah.
Or is that a brooch or no? That's
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is a brooch.
Well, it's a brooch pendant.
Brooch
kind of.
pendant. It's very nice. Okay. So
So we have the history of monsters, which is literally what it says. This is the first page. This is a book as well as a mural.
okay, I own the book.
Yeah.
Yes, it is awesome. If you haven't seen it or read it, I suggest you checking it out.
Well, it's a real history, so that's kind of like the title page. And then the very first, I figured, what's the first monsters?
All right.
Oh,
There it is.
here it is.
Show it.
History of Monsters. And if you don't have it, don't worry. I'll go ahead and put it down in the description below how you can get it. I'll link it up to Pete's website, and you can go there and you can order it on your website and whatever. So don't worry. Don't have FOMO, I think it's called. Don't worry about FOMO. You can get it. Thank you.
We have a BOGI sale going on right now.
What's BO?
Buy one, get it.
Oh. I love
Okay.
it. All right, take me through.
So I figured the first monsters ever
Okay.
would be early caveman, early man, sitting in the fireside, thinking that there's scary things outside in the night. So human imagination is the creator of the monsters in this context. So they know that there's scary things out there in the daytime, but at night, the imagination starts working on you when you hear the sounds at night. And so that leads to mythology. So we segue into early mythology.
Wow.
And almost every mythology has monsters in it. And so these are from different mythologies from all over the world.
Yeah, I can see here. Is this like an Aztec type thing?
Yeah.
Okay, and down here would be what? Like
That's a Manticore. That's from Greek mythology, and there's Japanese ones and Irish. Some from the Bible.
who's this? Like half man, half horse?
A little of the typical mythological guys, the centaur and the mermaid and the what do you call it, the minotaur. And then, so this is a little bit more Greek and Roman, but there's all kinds of monsters. And a lot of the early monsters, they would just stick two animals together. So the griffin has the head and the wings of a bird and the body of a lion. They just kind of
Meshed together, grew. That's the way it was made, right?
And then we move up into the Middle Ages. So there's dragons and wizards and
What is this guy?
you know what? You have to look up in the book because I don't remember.
That's all. Oh, so in the book there's an outline.
Yeah, there's a key that identifies all the monsters.
Oh, that's so cool.
And that's a banshee, and there's dragons and so on. And then you get into early fiction. As soon as people started writing books, not just for Bibles and things like that, but books for entertainment, they wrote Frankenstein, Dracula, War of the Worlds. So you've got all these early fictional characters, which just keep getting repeated. we keep making War of the Worlds and Frankenstein
Yeah.
and Dracula. These monsters echo. This is from Edgar Allan Poe, Murders in the Rue Morgue, Island of Dr. Moreau, King Solomon's Mines. That's The Monster Men by Edgar Rice Burroughs. And it goes on and on and on. And these are more like pulp era monsters. So Robert E. Howard and Clark Ashton Smith and all those 30s, 20s and 30s American pulp writers. And then we got Lovecraft. We gave Lovecraft a whole section because he has so many cool monsters.
Oh, he is wonderful.
You gotta love Lovecraft.
Gotta have Lovecraft. And you gotta give him some space, you know. And then we go to movies.
Yeah, this is the good stuff. Well, I like all the
Like
stuff,
movies?
but I really like the movie stuff.
Well, in the silent movies, they started making monster movies as soon as they started to make movies, right? Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback and so on. So there's a little... Now, these were all black and white, so I had to make up the color, you know, but I didn't want to have a black and white piece in the mural.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, look at the detail on this, and I mean, you got this guy. I don't know, he's got a googly eye, and just really cool. This guy looks like one of my friends from back in Buffalo.
That's from the silent version of Frankenstein.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it?
the first Frankenstein movie, I think.
That's awesome.
And then you go more into the 1930s and 40s as we move on. And just for fun, I did things like there's Charles Laughton as Dr. Moreau. He made the animal people, right? So, but we put the Cowardly Lion in there because he's kind of a Dr. Moreau-ish guy, right? And we got Boris Karloff as Frankenstein 3 times. We got him as Frankenstein and from Bride of Frankenstein and Son of Frankenstein because I was trying to be really complete.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then there's Bela Lugosi as Dracula, and when Bela Lugosi played the Frankenstein monster, and from the Island of Lost Souls, there's Bela Lugosi again.
Wow, that is awesome.
Thank you.
Kind of looks like the dad from Teen Wolf. Remember at the end?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And then, you know, we move into monsters. Now, in the 1950s, there was a lot of UFO talk, and there was a lot of atomic stuff, so a lot of the monsters had big eyeballs and big brains, and they were mutants or aliens. And they were simpler and kind of goofier looking. You know, and later on, you'll see that monsters progress with the times.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's some Ray Harryhausen creatures there facing off. And
Explain
50-foot
this one
woman.
because this is no monster. This is like a beautiful woman here.
That's the attack of the 50-foot woman, and she's holding the spaceship of the man from Planet X. I don't know what she's going to do with it. That's none of my business.
Oh wow.
And we move on into the 60s. And I did a whole section where I diverged. Now you've got the giant bug movies and stuff. From those are more 50s, but you've got all this progression going on. Godzilla. And then this is all about animation and cartoons and comic books. So we did a little quick side trip into those monsters.
I love it. I love it. This is my favorite Marvel character is the Thing.
He's a monster, right?
Yeah. He's
The Hulk is a monster, and the Hulk is the Frankenstein monster. I mean, he's really an incarnation of the Frankenstein monster, if you think about it, right?
yeah,
He's green, he's got the flat head, you know, the big brow.
super strong. Like you know.
Yeah.
But this guy, I recognize him from Looney Tunes. Is it?
Yeah. I can't think of his name right now. It's from a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Some real funny, harmless sounding name.
It's
It'll
awesome.
come to me.
How long does it take you to draw
Well,
something
this
like
took
this?
this took several years, and it was not all at once. Just a few hours here, a few hours there, and then people would see it as a work in progress and say, "Oh, have you got the Wasp Woman?" And I'd be like, "Oh, the Wasp Woman! How could I forget?" So then I've got to go in and put the Wasp Woman in.
Wow.
And you know, so people helped. You know, there's a little family thing going on here with Mr. Sardonicus and his dad, and then there's Norman Bates and his mom.
Oh, I love it.
So there's little groups. Now Christopher Lee played a lot of monsters. That's him
Yeah.
as Dracula, him as the Mummy, and him as the Frankenstein monster. And you got the teenage Frankenstein. And then I started working on movies in the late 70s and early 80s. And so I worked on some Freddy Krueger movies and some of the Reanimator sequels and some Pumpkinheads and some Chuckies and
Did you work on
Freddys.
Hellraiser?
I worked on one of the Hellraiser movies.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Michael Jackson, when he died, I put him in from Thriller
Nice.
as a tribute.
That's so cool.
This is a little thing of movies I worked on. They're not all monster movies, but it wasn't my fault. I tried. You know?
Well, I'd say you've done pretty good. I mean, look at some of these movies. You have Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, really good. Hellraiser Bloodline, The Mask.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jim Carrey in The Mask, Dark Man. Also, The Shawshank Redemption, which Pretty good movie for a movie with no monsters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great movie.
Yeah.
The Blob.
Yeah, the remake of The Blob. You know, you really feel old when you meet somebody that goes, "You worked on the remake of The Blob? Oh, that scared me when I was a kid." Oh, great. Can't be helped though.
So where are we at now in the history of monsters?
Well, we're coming around the bend, you know, and you'll see them, you know, and they're all in the book, and they're all, you can find them all. Somebody said, you know, we need more monsters of color.
Okay.
I said, well, I put what's there, you know, in the movies, but I managed to get Eddie Murphy from Vampire in Brooklyn, whatever it was,
Yeah.
and Grace Jones from Vamp,
Nice.
and then this is Big Daddy. I think he was from Land of the Dead, a George Romero movie.
What was the one guy from the Bees and
Candyman.
Candyman? Yeah.
He's in there. I
Is
don't
he
know where
got
offhand,
Candyman in
but-
there?
Oh yeah,
He was. That was a really good one.
totally.
Good luck trying to find him.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
why you need the book.
Well, that's
Yes.
one of the things that I have in the book, and I really enjoy it because you can literally take it and before you fall asleep and just kind of look at each page and kind of like just kind of open it up. And before I go to bed, I try to find 3 or 4 that I'm familiar with. And here's the thing I was telling you about earlier. There's a key, right? So you have the number, and then you go down here to where it is listed of what one you're looking at. That's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah, I thought the key was really important. That's one thing that the book has that the mural doesn't. Is when you're just standing looking at the mural and you go, "What's that?"
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, good luck. But if you got the book, you know, it takes 2 seconds, and oh, that's Big Trouble in Little China, of course.
I mean, really, if you're a monster fan, a sci-fi, just an artist fan, a movie fan, I mean, this book, not only for yourself, but as a gift, is awesome. I mean, it's perfect. I couldn't think, if somebody gave this to me for Christmas or, you know,
Yeah.
it's just such a perfect gift, really, because everybody loves movies and they love monsters and action stuff and like this. And what it is also, too, is like a historic timeline.
It is, and it's a reference book. It's got a lot of information, but it's not dull. It's fun to look at, but it's also, you know, many people. Now, this is cryptozoology. Well, if we keep going,
is this-
see, now we got a little bit of Game of Thrones and Walking Dead, stuff like that, so it brings us right up to date. The Babadook is in there. And then this is a little side trip into cryptozoology. So you've got, you know, the African dinosaur and the Jersey Devil and Sasquatch and the Chupacabra and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then we kind of end up bookending with modern people still sitting by the fire, still pretending, telling scary stories, pretending that there's things out there in the darkness. So it comes full circle. So we love monsters, and
Wow.
we keep monsters alive in our history.
Wow.
And we still do.
That's just, I mean, and here we are. We basically went all the way around this little pop-up. Here is the book. Like I said, I'll go ahead and put the link down in the description if you want to get it. I'm going to put it right here. He has another book that you can also see, and it is Lovecraft Illustrated, and it's a really beautiful, colorful book.
Yeah,
But
may I say, this is
Yeah.
also historical and a reference book because this is every single story that Lovecraft ever wrote. There's at least one illustration from every single story, and they're presented in the order that the stories were written.
wow.
So his earliest stories obviously come first, and some of the really early short stories might only have one picture, but the Dunwich Horror and the Color Out of Space and some of the Call of Cthulhu and things like that will have lots of pictures.
So what did you do? You read the stories, and then you're like, you know what? I'm going to put my idea, my vision, my monster, whatever,
Yeah.
and drew them.
When I read those stories, and I think most artists, when you read a story, anybody, when you read a story, don't you see something in your head like, what does this look like, you know? And so I just wanted to put it down and make it complete, like the history of monsters, like the mural, you know. I wanted to really make it complete. This is just a hardcover.
Oh, okay.
version.
Can you
So
buy the hardcover and the softcover?
You can buy as many as you want, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking us through your history of monsters. Can you let us know where we can get those books again?
Yes, yeah, I'd be happy to. I have a website called VonShollywood.net, and it's like if you took Hollywood and put VONS in front of it. I got the idea when I moved here. I saw Vaughn's supermarket,
Oh.
and I lived in Hollywood, and I saw the sign up there, and I went, Vaughn's Hollywood, Von Shollywood.
Oh, I love it.
You know,
That's great.
just kind of stuck with it, you know, because I couldn't think of anything better.
No, I love it. I love it.
Anyway, it's .net, VonShollywood.net, and I have a bookstore there.
Oh.
Right on the front page. You can go in the bookstore and you get all these things if you want to.
All right, make sure you check that out. Now, I wanted to get into a little bit of, well, a lot of people don't know this. I know because I work in movies. What exactly does a storyboard artist do?
Storyboard artist, in my description, is the guy that gets the director's vision down on paper or digital or whatever form so that it becomes a real visible, tangible thing. That way everybody knows what the director wants to do. So that's your job, is to draw the shots, pick the angles. Usually you work with a director and sit and talk like you and me are talking. You say, okay, this scene I want to do a 2-shot. And I might say, well, wait a minute, where's the camera? And you might go, oh, I didn't think of that yet. And then it's like, okay, is it a wide shot? Are we up high? Are we down low? Are we looking over the shoulder? You know, and once it gets real specific like that, usually you storyboard stunts and special effects because everybody down the line needs to know what they're doing.
Sure.
So when the director, like Chuck Russell, who did the new Blob and The Mask and Dream Warriors, he was real specific. And when he got his storyboards done, he would show everybody, here's what I want. You guys make the monsters, you do the special effects, give me this.
And then you kind of drew it out, and
I drew it out, and then he took it and showed it to everybody else. Once he got what he wanted, because that way it's not left, because if I describe a scene just at a script page, you could say, oh, well, I thought it was more like this, or I saw it that way. So if the director wants to control, and it's never easier than at the storyboard stage to change things, move things around. It's not like reshooting things, you redraw things.
Yes.
And you draw quick. You know, I'll sit with a guy and make real quick sketches. I say, is this it? And you go, well, I want to be wider than that. Oh, okay. You know, so frame by frame, shot by shot. They don't do it as much that way anymore. A lot of the big movies have so many effects that they'll hire a team of storyboard artists, and you don't have quite as much one-on-one with the directors, which I think is a shame.
Yeah. I know. I imagine things are changing also too with doing it on computers and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, is there a favorite thing you like to draw? Is there something that you like? I want to sit down. Obviously, monsters is the love. This man loves to draw monsters. But is there a specific? Do you like to draw monsters with wings, monsters with multiple legs?
It depends. You know, when I sign books for some people, sometimes I'll say, I'll do a sketch for you. What do you want? Well, I want the creature from the Black Lagoon, or I want this or that. Or else they'll just say, well, just make something up. So that's the most fun.
That's
because you just put the pencil down, start doodling around, and then you get, oh, here's an eyeball, there's a mouth. Oh, that would be cool to put an arm over here, and it's so spontaneous. Because monsters can go anywhere, right?
Yeah, you can just start off with a little square, and all of a sudden you have a robot that has a bird's beak, like we saw, and just really cool stuff. What inspires you? Like, what are you inspired at? To draw monsters? Is there somebody out there in Hollywood? Is there something that you see?
All kinds of things, yes. I grew up reading monster magazines, watching monster movies, reading comic books, wanted to be a comic book artist. And all the artists, Jack Kirby, Frank Frazetta, there's a ton of artists who you look at them and you go, I want to do that. There's a whole bunch of guys. I have some of them profiled in this other book that I'll show you.
Okay, cool. Now, the question that I think I want to know the most is, will we ever see Travel Man Dan fighting monsters in a movie? You guys want to see something like that? Like maybe me taking on, I fall into a cave, or I fall into another planet, or I shoot off into a rocket and I fight one of your monsters. That would be awesome.
It's all right with me. Anybody listening out there?
Anybody? We're just saying that,
We got the man, I got the monsters. Come on.
Come on, we're just saying. But no, on another level, I do want to talk to you about some other movies that you did work on. You worked on some amazing movies. We went over them a little bit earlier. What was it like working on one of my favorite movies? I don't know what you did, but I saw by the way, this guy has a list of almost 100 credits, over 100 credits on IMDb. You worked on Grown Ups too. Did you not?
I did.
That is one of my favorite movies. I don't know why it's
I don't know why either.
But it's just a great movie. What did you do on Grown Ups too? Storyboards.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not all just monsters.
No, I like it best when it's monsters, but whatever the job is, comedy is fun too.
Yeah.
Comedy is really fun to draw.
Yeah, when I saw he did Grown Ups too, I was like, this guy is awesome.
I did Mom and Dad Save the World. That was by the same guys that did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure that wrote that.
I remember that.
The real off-the-wall movie.
Yeah, it was
fun.
Really wacky stuff. You worked on The Blob, right?
Yeah, the remake, not the original, not that old.
You worked on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4?
Yeah, and you know what? That 3, Dream Warriors, is a lot of people's favorite.
Really?
Because I meet people at Monster Palooza conventions and stuff, and they're going, oh, Dream Warriors. And when I worked on it, I just thought, well, this is a new movie. This is, I don't know if this is going to be remembered or anything. The classics were the classics already. So the 80s, it's just like, this is just a bunch of crap we're doing. Nobody's going to care about this. But the people who grew up with those movies have the same feelings and reverence that I did for what I grew up with, So it's really fun and surprising to see how many people enjoyed that stuff.
I mean, I know I did. I remember my mother I would sleep over at the Duffy's house, and we'd have to go to the local where you rented the VHS, and we'd always try to get the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. One thing I did want to ask you about, your first credit on IMDb, I'm sure it wasn't your first work, but was a big influence in my life and my brother's life. It was the G.I. Joe Commander Cobra series.
Yeah.
What did you do on that? Love that cartoon.
No, I worked in animation first. When I moved to California in 1976 from New York, I had friends who worked in animation, and I didn't know what storyboards were. I never heard of storyboards then.
Cool.
And I would see them, I'd go to Hanna-Barbera and Filmation and studios like that, and there would be storyboards, and I would go, these look like comics, kind of. I wonder if I could learn to do this. So that was my first job doing storyboards, was for cartoon animation. And film is film, so the same rules apply. And I had a friend who wanted to get into animation, and I wanted to get into live action, so I pointed out a job to him, and he pointed out a job to me, and we sort of switched places. And he's had a great career in animation, and I've had a career in live action.
That's so cool, man. That's what's really neat is, coming to Hollywood and growing up with these movies and stuff like that. Then you meet people that actually worked on them and created them.
It was
Awesome.
exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, here I am. I told you I grew up reading monster magazines, watching movies. I'm working on The Blob. I mean, I saw the original Blob like a million years ago when I was a little kid, and I'm actually working on The Blob. I'm working on a monster movie. I mean, it was like, this is too good to be true.
That's awesome. Now, you told me a little bit about, we've seen the books, you have a new book coming out. Do we have those here? Do you guys have those?
We do.
We do? Abra, do you have, by any chance, the new
They're
books?
on the altar in there.
Ah, yes. Let me get those for you.
I can talk about what it is while she's...
Okay, yeah. We really can't move now that we're stuck to these chairs.
No. But I made a book called Fantastic Fictioneers. And fictioneer was a general term for people who made incredible artwork, whether they made it as a director or a comic book artist or a graphic artist or a sculptor. So we've got everybody from Dr. Seuss to H.R. Giger in these books. And take a look.
Look at these books, guys.
This is brand new. This is an import from England, just came out this week.
This week it came out?
Yeah.
Wow, and you can see the first volume. It goes from Ackerman to Jackson. This is volume 1. And the second volume is James to Wood.
So that's M.R. James, the famous ghost story writer. He's in there, and Wood is Wallace Wood, the comic book artist. That's Forey Ackerman, who made Famous Monsters. That's the Ackerman that starts this off. And Shirley Jackson, who wrote The Lottery, is the Jackson. See, there's Jack Davis from Mad Magazine.
They smell new.
I know,
They
it's
smell
brand new.
great.
I know, isn't it great? It's like the new book smell, new car smell. I did all these portraits of the people, and I tried to do them in their style, kind of.
Oh, that's awesome.
I tried, to ape the look. Now, there's Steve Ditko, who drew Spider-Man and created Doctor Strange.
Look at these books. So each one of it talks and takes you through the life of each fictioneer. Harlan Ellison, amazing.
And the essays in here were written by really, really authoritative, entertaining people, really good writers and experts on their subjects. So there's probably about 100 different people spotlighted in this book, with over 70 different writers who contributed to it.
These are fantastic. And,
Thank you.
you know, once again, you'll be able to get these down on his website, and I'll put the link down in the description below. But check these out. It's called Fantastic Fictioneers. I love them. Pete, one more thing before we leave. I got to give you a lightning round. How's that?
Whatever that is, go ahead.
All right, lightning round is, I'm going to ask you one or the other. You have to pick one or the other. So we're just going to put you on the spot. I wrote a list here of one or the other, and let's see how you answer. There is no right or wrong in the lightning round. Let's just see what you think.
Let me have it.
Okay, Lon Chaney or Bela Lugosi?
Bela Lugosi.
All right. Frankenstein or The Mummy, Boris Karloff?
Frankenstein.
Okay. Who would win in a fight, Cyclops or a Minotaur?
Minotaur.
Okay. Who would win in a fight, Godzilla or King Kong?
King Kong.
Okay. Do you like creatures from outer space or deep sea?
Deep sea.
Okay. Jason or Freddy?
Freddy.
Okay. 3D or 2D movies?
2D. Hate
Yeah,
3D.
me too. Yeah. All right, and lastly, who are you going to call if the monsters come? Van Helsing or Ghostbusters?
Boy. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters.
Pete, you are awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, really, I love your artwork. I love the creativity, the imagination. I just feel like these monsters should come to life. The recreations that you drew of people's already monsters and stuff. You're a fantastic artist.
Thank you.
I absolutely love it. Thank you for coming here on Travel Man Dan and
My pleasure.
sharing. You know, guys, Pete Von Sholly, thank you so much. Yeah, awesome. Make sure you check out his website, buy his books, get his stuff. They're great. And yeah, thank you.
And thank you.
All right, so another really cool thing that I didn't point out is just below the whole like timeline of History of Monsters are these really cool drawings that Pete did, and then it gives a little description of what the drawing's about. And well, if you know anything about me, you know my Chinese name is Da Xing Xing, and my favorite of all the monster movies are the King Kong movies. And well, I saw this one. K is for Kong, and I gotta have it. So I am actually going to buy this one, as when I usually go and do do videos on places. I like to support local artists. I like to go out here and be supportive of people, and especially art. So I am going to go ahead and purchase this one, and now I'm going to go and see if Pete will go ahead and sign the back for me. That's going to be one hell of a memento. Hey, Pete.
I will.
Would you mind, sir?
I would not mind.
All right. Yes.
I'll be happy to.
Yeah.
To Dan.
Yes.
I'm going to say the man, all right?
Oh, thank you.
I'll show you my favorite part of the signature right here. Just a,
I love it.
I don't know why.
All right.
I like that.
There it is. It is a signed Pete Von Sholly. I am going to take this with me. I'm always going to have it here. I love it. Pete, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, always.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for your enthusiasm.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and best of luck wherever you go, whatever you do. I'll be watching. Thank you. Wow, so happy for this.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool.
So thank you so much for having me.
Yes, our pleasure.
I loved it here. Before we leave, why don't you go ahead, one last look, take a look at that one last time.
Pete's fabulous work.
Abra, thank you so much. Give me a big
Yes.
hug. Give me a big
Of
hug.
course.
Thank you for having
Yes,
me. I really
anytime. Come back and see us.
It was
for our
great.
next shows, plural.
Tell everyone how they can get in touch with you through the internet, you know, that whole
Sure.
thing. So
Okay, well, you can find the gallery, Gallery 800, on Facebook, Instagram, it's gallery_800, and through the Art Director Guild's website, which is adg.org.
there it is. So if you want to check out this gallery, make sure you go online, and I'll be sure to go ahead and put the link down in the description below. But all the information, thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. It's
And-
been our pleasure.
One last thing.
Yes.
Would you be able to wrap this up so I don't
Yes.
I got a habit of breaking things.
Of course, no
Yeah.
worries. This is awesome.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, it's for Kong. Nice.
Yes,
Nice
I love
pick.
it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Cheers.
All right, well, let's take one last look. Soak it all in. Monsters, monsters, monsters. That is gonna do it for us today here at Travel Man Dan. I hope you had a great time. I hope you enjoyed watching me come to this gallery and see all the amazing artwork. I hope you enjoyed what a pleasant and awesome person Abra was, and well, the artist that did all this crazy stuff, the history of monsters and all his books and stuff, Pete Von Sholly. It was an epic mistake, chance that I was able to sit here and spend some time with him and pick his brain about movie monsters and just monsters in general. The guy's artwork is fantastic, and well, oh hey, I forgot to mention, if you haven't noticed already, this is the Travel Man Dan merchandise. How do you like that artwork, baby? So if you're interested, I'll be sure to go ahead and throw this link down in the description below. If you want to go ahead and support me, support my channel, you can now get Travel Man Dan merchandise. Check it out. So I have shirts, I have hoodies, I have coffee mugs, I have iPhone cases, and I have socks. So if you're interested, the first edition of the Travel Man Dan merchandise will be out. I'll go ahead, like I said, put the link down in the description below and you can check it out. If you haven't already and you like what I'm doing, could you go ahead and hit that sub, ring the bell, give me a like, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought of this video, let me know where you want to see me go next, just let me know anything that you want to see. Travel Man Dan goes all over the world exploring really cool places, interesting people, and delicious foods. Thanks again for watching. I'm Travel Man Dan, and remember, it's a big world out there. Make sure you see every bit of it.